Hello and welcome to Palace Fan TV for Jim and Jay's final say post Leicester result where Palace lost again. 1-0 to Leicester. It was almost sort of quite depressingly inevitable as to the way the game went because Leicester don't let in many goals. They don't score many at the moment. They're winning a lot of games 1-0. We've struggled to score goals and we can't keep a clean sheet. So it pretty much had 1-0 Leicester written all over it. Um, and in the end, that's the way it went. And it was a goal from the two men that have been grabbing the headlines from Leicester all season, which is Vardy and Mahrez combining. Like it was, if you'd have said before the game what would happen, you'd have probably gone with 1-0 Leicester. Vardy and Mahrez will combine for the goal. That's exactly what happened. So, they are league leaders. And any other day, I think you'd say, well, we lost 1-0 to the league leaders in a close game. You wouldn't be that fussed, but because it's Leicester, and there isn't really much difference in quality between the two squads, between Leicester and Palace. And in fact, at work the other day, I got slated because I said, well, the Palace's squad is better than Leicester's, and the only player I would take would be Kasper Schmeichel. And then I reformatted my opinion and decided that I'd also have Vardy, probably Mahrez and Kante, and possibly Fuchs, maybe Huth. But even so, that's 5 or 6 players. So it's not like they are better than Palace man for man in every position. They're an okay squad full of average Premier League players with some experience in there, and they're maximising their potential. In the same way that we were to start the season. They're overperforming. We overperformed to start the season. Unfortunately, we've levelled out again. They've carried it on somehow. They had an incredible run of luck when it comes to injuries, luck in games. Damo hit the bar with a last-minute volley on Saturday. Any other day that goes in and you get a 1-1 draw. But Leicester, their luck running for them. And to be honest, if it goes on the next 7 games, then they're going to win the title. And fair enough to them if they do. It's probably good for football for them to win it, for a team outside the top 4 or top 6 to break in there, and it probably gives hope to teams like Palace that they can think, well, look, if Leicester can do it, why can't we do it? And we showed to start the season we've got the potential to do it. But we've got a lot of things to work out before that happens, namely probably our fullbacks. Suarez had another really dodgy game, unfortunately, and Joel Ward. We all love Wardy, and it pains me to say it, but he really hasn't been that good recently. And maybe it's kind of like an unspoken thing where we're not allowed to criticise Joel Ward because he's Wardy and we love him and he's been fantastic for us. But our fullbacks I think, have become the main area of concern. And I think in the summer we need to look at new fullbacks because so much of teams' play that attacks us and threatens us comes down the wings. It happened with Albrighton and Mahrez on Saturday, and the goal came from Vardy getting out wide, beating Ward and squaring, and Mahrez coming in off the back stick, unmarked from Suarez and putting in the back of the net. So I think those are positions that need to be evaluated. But the rest of the team didn't play terribly. We thrive on our wingers as well, and Wilf and Yannick both tried hard, but nothing really came off for them. Yannick put a couple of decent crosses in, and Wilf missed one at the far post actually, but it certainly wasn't their best games. Adebayor up top looked a little bit like he couldn't be bothered, wasn't really that interested. We know he's got a good touch, but we also know he's not the man that's going to chase down loose balls and make things happen up top. And sometimes you need that. Maybe it was even a game for someone like Fraser Campbell. And I know Campbell doesn't have the quality, but at least will give you running and effort and will unsettle defences. And Adebayor wasn't doing that. Then Yannick was up top, and we know Yannick in the middle. He's not as effective. He's not a back to goal number 9 kind of guy. He likes to get the ball turned and take on defenders. And when you play up top on your own, you spend most of the time with your back to goal. We see Wickham does that and does it very well because he's got the attributes to do that. Yannick, I think we lose a little bit of him when he goes in the middle. But as soon as he gets to run out wide and takes people on, that's when he can cause havoc. To be honest, our best player, certainly in the second half, was probably Bakary Sakho. I didn't think I'd be saying that this season, but he came on and made Palace much more direct, purely because he was getting the ball, getting it out of his feet, and looking to fire it either towards goal or into the box. And it's a very sort of simplistic, direct way of doing it, but it actually worked, And had we had a proper striker on at the time when he was fizzing in a couple of really good balls from the left into the 6-yard box, someone to actually properly gamble on them, like a Fraser Campbell, I can't believe I'm saying that. We might have got something. So he was fantastic, and unfortunately with Saka, I think it's very hit and miss, and it's very now and then. But he did prove that he's got something to offer the team, and we've got a lot of players that've got a lot to offer the team. But it feels like at the moment maybe we're not quite getting the best out of them. Maybe it was a game for someone like Jason Puncheon to come on and grab control of it, but it's just another frustrating result because we're great in the cup, and in the league we're not playing terribly. We're just not quite getting it right, and we're getting a bit of luck go against us, and injuries, and the goalkeeper howling here and there, and all that stuff is coming together to compound this poor run, which continues to stretch since December. But we march on in the cup. It's a weird one. It's a weird season, not just for us, but for everyone involved in the league. And I think we're all going to look back in a few years' time and think, do you remember 2015-16 when loads of weird stuff went down? So there you go. That's kind of my thoughts on Palace's loss to Leicester. Here's Jay from the Eagles Beat with his thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe for Palace Fan TV. Regular videos each week on everything Crystal Palace. And drop a like below. Comment as well. Who do you think was Palace's man of the match? I think I might even stretch and say Sacco, even though he was only on for a half. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Snapchat as well. That's it. Here's Jay from the Eagles Beak, and we'll see you again very soon. Cheers.
Hey guys, welcome back to Palace Fan TV. This is Jim and Jay's final say, and we're looking back at the Leicester City home game. And yes, it's another defeat. And no disgrace, it isn't top of the table. I know that's been said an awful lot already, but I think we did enough in the game to get at least a point out of it. A tough side, Leicester. They're at the top of the table on merit. A lot of people have questioned them throughout the season, and I don't think they're on top form today, I have to say. I think they were beatable, but they seem to have a real habit of winning games, and we are completely opposite. We've got a real habit of losing games, and today, perhaps while they would say they did enough to win the game, I think the difference was the clinical finishing. I mean, they took their goal very well indeed, against what perhaps we should have cleared the ball before they even had their chance. And I think that sums up Palace today. We kind of went to sleep for that 30 seconds or so in the game, and that's what turns out to be the difference. And that's obviously why Leicester are top of the table, and we're kind of languishing now. We're still looking over our shoulders a little bit. It's tough to say what's going to happen between now and the end of the season. We kind of ran out of games, and that loss column is ticking over, and nothing else is other than obviously the FA Cup. But don't really want to talk about that today, the FA Cup. It's all about a league and having to pick up points. I think today there were a few positives to take from it. Personally, I really enjoyed seeing Jedinak. He was excellent today. He really was in the middle. He was geeing players up, and he was one of the first players to close down the Leicester defenders. Personally, I don't like seeing Balassi playing in that kind of number 10 role behind Adebayo. I'd rather see him playing wide. Didn't play wide so much today. Not sure what Gale and Campbell would think being on the bench when Pardew chooses to take Adebayo off, who was awful in the first half. I have to say, nothing was sticking to him. He couldn't win a header. For a big guy like that, he should be doing a lot more, I have to say, even with his experience. But he chose to take him off at half time, which was the right substitution to make. Saka came on his place, and we played Balassi up front. Now, Balassi's great, but taking him away from that wide role, which he's so good at for us, and playing him up front, I just don't see what Pardew sees in Balassi playing up front. I really don't. Can't hold up the ball. Yes, quick, and obviously the speed would have probably been his thought process in that having Balassi up against Morgan and Huth in that second half would pay dividends. There were a few occasions where he almost got through, but for me, I'd rather have that threat out wide from Balassi and have somebody else up front. However, without Wickham, for me, I think Wickham would have been a big difference for us today. Such a shame that we're missing him for injury. He obviously had goal scoring form after those two games and then got injured. We're crying out for somebody. We're crying out for a goal scorer again, and we've got to that position where, personally, I don't think Gale and Campbell can do it. Campbell scored last week against Reading, obviously last minute tap in. But Adebayo's got to do more for us. But Sacco, I thought was impressive second half. Made a real impact. He had two excellent shots, which Schmeichel, I don't know. I mean, he came for the ball, but he wasn't. There's no way he was going to catch them. The way he just punched them away. which is a little bit odd, but I think one from Saka really did almost catch him out. And we know Saka's got that in his locker. He kind of looked today a little bit like the form that he showed earlier in the season when he first started playing for us. So that's very positive. And as I say, Jednak as well. I thought Scott Daly and Delaney were good in the centre defence. It kind of dealt with most of what was put through them. Soiree, substitute at half time, silly booking, struggled, I think. Not a great performance from him. Hennessy, a lot of people have questioned the goalkeeper position, as we know, all the way through the season. Hennessy today, great one-on-one save with Mahrez. Did enough, parried the ball and allowed Scott Dan to clear. When it was one-on-one, it was fantastic. I have to say, did enough to deal with that threat. Also, he made a great save later on from a good cross. Did his job, did the jobs that we want him to do, and that's what we want to see from our keeper. So while he's been criticised an awful lot, I have to give him the credit today for the saves that he made. Elsewhere across the pitch, I think Kabay kind of goes missing a little bit in games. Kind of expect more from him. We should have a gut player like that, kind of putting his mark on the game. Out of somebody of that quality, the latter stages of the game, I thought he was excellent. Really helped us push forward, and Delaney with that effort very late on crashed across the crossbar. I thought I was in. I really did. But I think the game was a lot. Seeing Palace huff and puff quite a bit without having that final ball, that final bit of quality to get that equaliser. And I think on the balance of play, we had better. We had more possession, not so much better possession. I was impressed with Kante and Drinkwater in the mirror. I can see exactly what they're doing for Leicester this season. And fair play to Leicester. Love to see them go on and win the title this season. Really, it'd be a real fairy tale story. I think this time last season, our bottom of the table. I mean, that's just incredible. But I think we weren't far off them today. We really weren't. And if we had any kind of form, as opposed to this horrific run we're in at the moment, I think we'd have got something out of it. But it's the way it goes, and we go on to, I think it's 8 games left to play now. Tough run of games coming up. I think the next 4 of our next 5 are away from home, so maybe that will help. The counter-attacking style of play, but we'll see how that happens. That's it from me. Please leave your thoughts on the game underneath this video. Share, subscribe, and Palace Fan TV are all across social media: Facebook, Twitter, and also on Snapchat. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next week.